Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never imagined the day would come when the woman I married would slide a check across the table, as if she were settling a bill instead of ending a marriage. But that's exactly what happened on a quiet Thursday afternoon. One of those dull gray days where the sky hangs low like it knows something you don't. My name is Miles, I'm 38, and until recently I believed I understood what commitment meant. My wife, Rowan, used to agree with me. At least, that's what I thought during those early years when we stayed up late dreaming about the life we were building. Somewhere between then and now, she became someone I barely recognized. Sharp where she used to be warm, distant where she used to be curious, irritated where she once laughed. The first shift came subtle, the kind you ignore because you want to believe it's temporary. She stayed out later with her coworkers. She kept her phone on silent. She rolled to the far edge of the bed as though sharing a pillow with me cost her something. But it wasn't until she stopped looking at me entirely, just stopped, that I understood something deeper had broken. Still, I tried. Every man knows that point where your pride begs you to walk away, but your heart refuses to let go because you remember who she was before the silence. I bought flowers. I booked a trip. I asked if she wanted counseling. She turned each attempt into proof that I didn't understand her. But the check, that was new. She set it on the table between us, smoothing it with 2 fingers as though making sure it wouldn't blow away. "This should help you get your own place," she said. Her voice wasn't cruel. That almost made it worse. "I think it's healthier for both of us." I stared at the amount. It wasn't insulting, if anything it was generous. Too generous, the kind of money people offer when they're not just done, but eager to close a door. "So you're willing to pay me to leave?" I asked. She didn't look away. That was the moment I knew she had rehearsed this. "I'm willing to help you move on," she corrected. "We both deserve a fresh start." I didn't argue. Not because I agreed, but because something inside me finally stopped fighting. It wasn't anger. It was clarity, the kind that settles in after months of confusion. I folded the check, put it in my wallet, and told her I'd be gone by the weekend. She nodded like she'd just completed a necessary task. That night, I slept on the couch. Not because she asked, but because I couldn't stand the idea of lying beside someone who'd already emotionally left the marriage months before she admitted it. The house felt unfamiliar, like a hotel you stay in out of convenience rather than comfort. By Saturday morning, my bags were packed and my key was on the counter. Rowan didn't wake to say goodbye. I don't know if that made it easier or harder. I moved into a small apartment across town. Older building, thin walls, creaking floors. But it had sunlight, and for the first time in months I didn't feel like I was suffocating. I sent Rowan a short message letting her know I'd moved out. She responded with a single thumbs up. That should have been the end. But endings have a strange way of unraveling when people finally get what they thought they wanted. 3 weeks passed without a word. I settled into a routine: work, gym, sleep. I didn't think about her much, or at least I tried not to. When memories surfaced, I let them fade without trying to fix anything. I figured that was part of healing, accepting that some things don't deserve your energy anymore. Then, one night just after 11, my phone buzzed. Rowan calling. The name looked foreign on my screen. She hadn't called me in months, not even when we were still living together. I debated answering, but curiosity has a way of grabbing your hand before you can pull it back. Her voice broke the moment I said hello. "Miles? Can you please come over?" She was crying. Full, uncontrollable, chest-tightening sobs. The kind I hadn't heard from her since her father passed 5 years ago. I sat up straight. "What's going on?" There was a pause, then a trembling whisper. "I made a mistake." I stayed silent, waiting. "I need you," she said. "Please, just come." And that's when the strange irony hit me. She'd been willing to pay me to leave. So why was she calling me now? In tears? Begging me to come back? I hesitated longer than I should have. Not out of cruelty, but because something in me needed a moment to breathe before stepping back into the world I had barely escaped. Rowan crying wasn't a sound I associated with honesty anymore. It felt like a signal from a past life, something familiar and distant at the same time. Still, I put on my shoes, grabbed my jacket, and drove. The house looked the same from the outside, but walking up to the door felt like approaching a memory instead of a home. The porch light was on, glowing that soft yellow Rowan always insisted made the place cozy. I used to agree. Now it looked like a stage where I no longer belonged. She opened the door before I knocked. Her eyes were swollen, her hair messy, her breathing uneven. She was wearing one of my old hoodies, the navy one she'd claimed years ago because it smelled like calm. Seeing her in it stirred something in me, but it wasn't longing. It was a strange mix of empathy and distance. "Come in," she whispered, stepping aside. I walked in and felt immediately how different the air was. Thick, tense, carrying the weight of something she hadn't said yet. "Rowan," I began softly. "What happened?" She sank onto the couch, pulling her knees up, like she used to when she felt overwhelmed. Her hands trembled as she tried to wipe her face, but more tears came. "It's all falling apart," she said. "Everything." She looked at me as if expecting me to already know. I didn't. She took a deep breath. "I thought I wanted space. I thought ending things would make me feel free. But all I feel is empty." Her voice cracked as she grabbed a tissue. "I haven't slept. I barely eat. I walk into the kitchen and expect you to be there. I keep reaching for someone who isn't here anymore." I stayed quiet. Sometimes silence reveals more than questions. She swallowed hard. "And there's more." Of course there was. "There's a guy from work," she said finally. It wasn't physical, but it was emotional. I thought the attention meant something. I thought he cared. Her lips trembled. "He told me last week he's getting back with his ex. He said whatever we had was just him being friendly." I closed my eyes briefly. Not because I was shocked, but because I understood now. Everything made sense. The distance, the irritation, the readiness to pay me to leave. Rowan hadn't fallen out of love. She'd redirected it towards someone who never intended to catch it. "And now?" I asked quietly. She leaned forward, gripping my hand with desperation. "Now I realize it was you, Miles. It was always you. I pushed away the one person who cared. I ruined everything. I don't want this divorce. I don't want you gone. Please." Her voice faded into a whisper. "Come home." For a long moment we sat there, her clinging, me motionless. I felt her shaking, felt her breath catch, felt the familiar warmth of her hands. But I also felt something I didn't expect. Nothing breaking inside me. That was the part that startled me most. Once upon a time, hearing her ask me to come home would have shattered me open with hope. But the man sitting here tonight wasn't the man she pushed away months ago. "You didn't just lose me," I said slowly. "You let me go." She shook her head violently. No, I didn't mean to. You paid me to leave, Rowan." My voice stayed calm. "You planned it. You rehearsed it. You were ready." Her face collapsed. I was confused. I was stupid. I didn't know what I wanted. I nodded. "But I do." She stopped breathing for a second, waiting. "I want peace," I said. "And for the first time in a long time, I finally have it." The words hit her harder than anything else tonight. She pulled her hand back as if my calmness burned. "Miles, please. We can fix this. I'll try. I'll go to therapy. I'll do anything." I believed her. That was the tragic part. I genuinely believed she meant every word. But good intentions don't erase the truth you discover when someone shows you where you stand in their priorities. "I'll always care about you," I said gently. "But I can't come back to a place you asked me to leave." She pressed her palms to her eyes, crying harder now, messy, raw, unfiltered pain, the kind I used to rush to soothe. But tonight, I just let her feel it, because sometimes grief is the clearest mirror. I stood up slowly. She looked up at me through tears. "So this is it?" I nodded. "This is closure." When I reached the door, she called after me. Not angry, not manipulative, just broken. "I'm sorry, Miles." I paused with my hand on the doorknob. "I know," I said softly. Then I stepped outside, letting the cool night air wrap around me. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel bitter. I just felt free. She was willing to pay me to leave. But now she finally understood the truth. You can ask someone to walk away, but you don't get to decide whether they ever walk back.